Welcome back, everybody, to the First Circuit Podcast, episode 71. Tonight's Circuit Podcast, episode 71. Tonight's topics are Mechwarrior 5 themed digital content for Mechwarrior, the Mechwarrior 5 AMA, the hotfix for on the 30th, Mechwarrior Event, all systems nominal, and the Battletech update. All coming up next. And tonight, our hosts are Battletech.
How's it, y'all?
Biter.
Blarg.
And myself, Old Bob. So first off, we have Mechwarrior 5 themed digital content for Mechwarrior Online. And what'd you guys think about this, about all the digital theme stuff? And they actually show you the different items that are coming out. Now, as far as the tags, I don't really care about those, but they show you what the items you do get, like the ballistic turret, the cockpit hanging item, and then also the warhorn, which will be coming out later on as far as what it's going to be sounding like. And hopefully they're going to do a good job on that instead of like the Phoenix warhorns. But what do you guys think about this?
So we already could make a well-educated guess about what the decals, the badges, the titles. Yeah. So all this really does is show us the cockpit items. And whilst it's nice to see them, the biggest thing I want is the warhorn sound.
Yeah,
which
yeah.
isn't at least currently available last time recording.
Yeah, I'm wanting to go and hear that too, because that's what really makes a warhorn is the sound itself. Because I love the was it the hot rod one? I think it is hot run. The hot run one is actually really nice. I like that one. Then we're looking at just the cockpit items. Some stuff. I mean, probably the ballistic turret's gonna go shoot some things and do whatever they're gonna be doing, and then the hanging item probably just gonna be shooting out the little rocket jets. I guess, I don't know, the volt hanging thing. But it does bring a interesting concept though. They never actually had vaults inside Mechwarrior Online, and so with this actually might be interesting to go and check out. To go ahead and actually go and see as something put it into the into the content for Mechwarrior Online itself.
I am okay because I got my MC, so everything else after that is free.
You got your MC.
I'll take whatever they get.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead.
So I mean, all of these little bits and doodads aren't the biggest thing in the world, new titles and badges, but for me, like, the warhorn is usually the biggest thing for any of these bits and pieces, but I need to hear how it sounds, and other than that, you always get the warhorn, no matter what level you order for Mechwarrior 5. It's just, if you get what is effectively the standard pack, you only get one of them. If you get the effectively collected pack, you get 3 of them, and if you get the ultimate pack, you get 9 of them.
Yeah, you'll, and just like you said, though, I mean, the decals and the badges, I don't really give a crap about because I literally don't really pay attention to that kind of stuff. But yeah, and then it also come out with the paint jobs of the Interstellar Exploration and what's the other one? It's a Cavaliers, I think, right?
Closed Cavaliers. So yeah, this was in something in the Mechwarrior 5 Discord. It was posted a while ago, but it's something we sort of missed a few weeks ago, I think.
Yeah.
And I was saying at least a pre-order. They are saying, "Oh, you can get these camo schemes." I was like, "Okay, that's neat. What do they look like?" And they have, at least, if you have already pre-ordered, can actually see what they look like.
Yeah, it's kind of nice. As far as paint jobs, yeah, they're there. I don't think it's actually worth the extra. Like each step, I think is what, $30, right? Going up like from the basic pack to the other ones, it's like 20 or 30.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, it's like $30 to get the first one, another $30 to get the second one, so to speak.
Yeah. I mean, you do get a lot of content from Mechwarrior Online, but if you're just doing it for the camo schemes, I don't know. I don't know if that's a good thing. Although I love Interstellar Explorations. You have a really good plot line and storyline in the Battletech universe, and so I would love to have that camo. But I don't think it justifies me spending another $30 to go get that camo just to have that, so I could go and do whatever. And besides, even that, modders will be able to go to mod that into it later on. just like what they do with all the other types of games.
Yeah, it's a whitey orangey cyany color scheme and a whitey yellowy color scheme.
Yeah.
They're okay. It was never that big of a selling point at the first place, but at least now people know.
At least they know what it looks like now, which is good, I guess. But yeah, yellow or green or teal and orange. Yeah. Okay.
Yes. All right.
Nice.
The other thing related to Mechwarrior 5 was there's another AMA. I haven't listened to it. I bet, Doug, have you listened to it?
Nope. I think Bob had.
I listened to about 30 to 40 minutes of it, I think, or 30 minutes of it, and it was good. It was good for what I actually caught on. The problem I do see, though, is that a lot of people have unrealistic expectations of what they can do. Some was actually good questions, like what's the gravity going to affect? What's gravity going to affect the bullet trajectories? And like, is it going to, is like, say, like a moon? Is it just going to keep on going? How's the movement going to, how's the terrain going to affect this, and how's movement going to be on that? But I think some of the questions were like, what's the curvature of the planet going to affect the bullet trajectories at X amount of range? And it's like, I don't think PGI really wants to do that or has the ability to go and do that type thing, like in the game itself. So there's a lot of unrealistic expectations of what they can do, and the questions were, literally, just like, what's a drop this, and they were going way out of the range of what they could probably do. But like I said, they had a lot of good questions. What gravity is going to affect this? Are they going to have troops? Or that kind of thing. And it wasn't too bad. And I think I'll leave a link down below, like of the Mechwarrior 5 AMA, so you guys can listen to it like as well. But they really did a good job at answering the questions. It's like what they can do, and it's a good thing that Russ and the devs do this, because you want to keep your audience engaged over time. Because you could have a drop off, like people don't want to go buy the people don't want to buy the game anymore, or don't want to have anything to do with it until that game comes out. So you have interest, keep on going, and I think this is a good thing for Mechwarrior 5. They do this; it's a great thing, and a lot of people were inside that room too. So it's a good thing they're doing this kind of stuff.
Yeah, I, for the most part at least, haven't really paid them much heed, because I already sort of know the product they're producing. And I'm just waiting to see, as we get closer to release date, what feature complete it looks like. And whilst it's kind of interesting, piquing my interest to ask all the questions here and now, a lot of it is we'll see if we can deliver it in time, or that's a dumb question. So I just, for me, I don't have much interest in these AMAs.
I just generally just have in the background while I'm doing something else, doing some editing or something like that, and kind of listen to it while I'm doing something. But, like I said, a lot of people have some just unrealistic expectations of what PGI can do with the game. And, and guys, okay, clans are not coming out. Okay, they won't come out for a while. So just let you guys know, clans will not be out for a long time. So, please stop asking, asking that question.
Dear PGI, there's one of these planets in the lore that I want to fight on because it's tidally locked with the gas giant it's orbiting around. Are you going to properly model the day-night cycle on a tidally locked planetoid?
That's some of the questions. I was like, okay. But yeah. Oh my God. Yeah, that was like some of the stuff. How's Elemental's going to work? That kind of stuff, and a lot of questions. Some were like, like one question I thought was interesting, that some of the buildings you could crash through and kill. Some of the bigger buildings, like the big gigantic 5 or 6 story like buildings, you can't do anything. It just has a wire frame type of thing that's still going to be there, but you can damage it and do that kind of stuff. That was kind of cool. But listen to it. But yeah, the day-night cycle of the gas giant, of this on this planet, and the gravity, how does it affect your sensors at this range? I don't think they have any concept of what they're gonna be doing inside that. It'd be cool. I love realism inside games. I love it, but I have a realistic view of what MechWarrior 5 is going to be, and I highly doubt that what Biter just said is going to happen.
Just if you're upset that the game isn't going to do that, just wait for a little bit, wait for the game to come out, then you can mod it and put in all the Kerbals you want.
Yes, you can do that. The one thing I am curious about, though, is about I don't think we ever got a message about it or an answer. Was if I, let's say Ian mods one thing, right, and I want to go to Ian's game. Do I download his mod in order to go play with them, or does it automatically do it type thing? And I don't think I actually really got into of how that works, but or I didn't listen to it or something like that, for what the answer is.
Typically, you have to have all the same mods. Like if you and I want to play, and we have, and you want to play with Ian's mod, but I have, say, Biter's mod, we both have to have both Ian and Biter's mod lining up. Be able to play co-op together.
That's gonna be a nightmare, as far as like logistically, though.
Well, that's how modded games has worked, to my understanding, in the past. That's why I kind of tried to stay away from mods a whole lot, unless there's a really good one or something like that.
Well,
Depends on some things, like, for example, how much the client actually checks. For example, let's say I put on I design a mod or a fancy Biters Marauders paint scheme or whatever, and you try and join the game. Does it say you don't have the paint scheme, so therefore you can't join, or do you join and it just loads the generic paint scheme? There's stuff like that. There's other things that are complete overhaul mods. And how much is run client side and what data you actually need. So, say for the example, I make a mod which includes the slowpoke, and I make you pilot the slowpoke. Well,
oh god,
the game doesn't have any files for it, so well, some other mech that's not in the game, but yeah, the imp. There you go, Bob. You'll probably be happier with an imp.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
If I try and make you pilot an imp, which isn't normally in the game, obviously you can't just load, generic files for that. It would come up with an error, which means if you're trying to load into my game, and you would have to play with me properly and jump into imp, you would have to download the files.
I just hope it's simple. That'll be the best thing that PGI can do, is like it automatically downloads the mods into whatever file, like a mod file or something like that, just to make it simple. Because if you make it so complicated that I have to make sure it works on my computer, go ahead and have the mod for this, or I got to download it and put in some special file. Now, they got to make it simple. If they do it so hard, I think that's going to really have a detriment to the game itself. For like people want to do things.
Yeah, I'm not aware how it all is going to piece together in the end. Obviously, what we're talking about is somewhat on the lines of something like if any of you used Nexus mods, Nexus Mod Manager, that is a nice simple tool that allows people to automatically download and keep their mods updated and all that. The thing is a question of whether PGI is going to make that thing, which I think probably isn't the case. But in terms of the community, they could very much use something like that, their own proprietary software, to more easily, automatically download and install mods.
Yeah, true. Like, say, like, Ian makes a mod about a paint job, like you talk about, then I automatically have that mod, and then let's say I run a game and I want you guys to come in. And then, I have that paint job. Now you guys have that paint job. So, like, it actually kind of jumps between computers and everything. Just be interesting.
Well, at the end of the day, at least those files for that paint job is a texture file. And that just needs to be, at some point, downloaded onto your computer, so to speak. I think the simple way to put it needs to be in your files. If, just in the case of paint schemes, if you don't have the paint scheme, the game could always fall back on a regular paint. So it gets much more complicated when you have much bigger overhauls to the game, where you can't just use filler-in assets, where you might start having black holes or glitches because you haven't downloaded those files. But the important thing is just, or at least the convenience angle is simply, I click Nexus Mod Manager. I go on the internet, I click, my friend links me all the files they're using. I download them, I install them with the Mod Manager, and I'm good to go. If it's all nice and easy and convenient like that, a lot of people get their heads around it.
Yeah. I just, like I said, I just hope make it easy so people like me can just automatically download it and not to worry about it, because I'm not a big computer person. I know just enough to go get me in trouble, and that's about it. And the rest of the stuff is like, doing Larsh's like config file. Thank God he talked to me, because I had no clue what the hell he was talking about until he actually walked me through it about doing Larsh's config file, and it works out great. It works really nice, actually.
My guess is, at least given the assets available to PGI, they aren't necessarily going to make modding extremely noob-friendly or accessible, but they are leaving it open, and communities can do a fairly good job. But there's still a ledge you have to climb. You have to find a site like Nexus Mods, download the manager, and download the files through there and go through the process. It's not as simple as some things like, I think, your Fallout 4 or whatever, where there is actually like the Steam Workshop integration, etc., which is incredibly easy, because you just click the I want this mod button and it does it all for you.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Actually, Battletech brought a good point here. What is the airspeed of an African swallow carrying a coconut? Type thing. They were asking that kind of stuff. It's like, yeah, we're thinking about it, and we'll get back to you. Type thing. But yeah, cool. Yeah, like I said, it's good they're doing this, and so people get an idea what's going on. It creates a lot of hype, and then go from there, like, pretty much. I'm just worried about the mod thing, because I know I'm going to be doing a lot of mods, or getting like Ian's mods, because I know Ian's like foaming at the mouth to do this, and just to get in and do it. Go have some fun with Mechwarrior 5 with my friends. Gonna have fun. So
yeah, I like Q&As. This is also the case somewhat with Battletech. I didn't listen to most of the Q&As with Battletech, because they made it fairly clear what the game was with their marketing in the first few Q&As and whatnot, that I didn't need to keep watching. But it's there for those who want to be more involved, and I'm glad PGI is doing this kind of work when doing their Mechwarrior 5 title. In some ways, it would be kind of cool if MWO had its Q&As, but that's a lot of time and effort for the 3 or 4 man studio that they have running right now.
Yeah, exactly.
I would just like to make a community request to please ask intelligent questions that PGI can work on and can answer, other than all these questions about gravity and on the planets and all that kind of stuff. Like, ask questions about how the gameplay is, how the co-op is working, how many people can co-op. Maybe those questions like that, versus somewhat seemingly superficial questions that, from what it sounds like, has been asked.
Well, they had a lot of good questions. There were a lot of good stuff like out there, but some of the questions I was listening, it's like, just like I said, the drop velocity at a certain ranges based on the curvature of the planet, on the gas giant at different types of day based on the gravity. What's that going to be like? And all Russ can say is like, yeah, we're looking into that. That's all they can really do. So there were a lot of good questions though.
I'd say their process, from what I've seen, was fairly good from the first few Q&As, where the mods are going through flagging questions that have already been asked. Even if you ask a good question, it might have been asked before. And marking questions as, hey, you should answer this. Such. And, they had like Tina or whoever, I think, also, prompting Russ and whatnot to, okay, here's a good question.
Yeah.
So they seem to have, I can't really complain about PGI's end, and the forum goes, the community is going to do what they do.
Yeah. Like I love realism. If you know anything about me, I want as much realism in the game as possible. But I know the limits of PGI to go do certain games, or even any games in period, that kind of thing. But I want as much realism as possible.
Well, I mean, for my part at least, I think mechs, if you're trying to be super realistic, mechs, of course, is kind of a balmy notion, at least compared to Battletechs or other things. Really, you get too serious, you get really bogged down in a lot of details. The important thing for me is somewhat fun and pretensions towards realism, or its own feeling and setting.
Yeah.
It's not so important that to me the game is incredibly super in depth of all the details. Like, for example, is a simple mechanic that makes sense, but I don't think is really worth implementing, which is if you get a 75 tonner and put a standard 3-engine engine in it, it should run a lot faster if you have no equipment and no armor on it. It's basically actually only 30 tons in total mass than if you put all the armor and all the equipment on it. But for some reason, it always runs at the same speed. And you can go even deeper than that. Like I make a serious Orion loadout with a standard 300 engine. I fire off all my ammo, and shouldn't I be going faster now? The ammo's not in the mech. I should be lighter weight. I should go faster the more I shoot.
Yeah.
But obviously it's a kind of fun, interesting detail, and that would be kind of nice in a game, but in the end, I don't mind if it's not there. It's okay.
Yeah, of course. Or one thing I always wonder about, I don't think I ever read it before, but yeah, the gyroscopes inside mechs, they're there to keep the mech upright, right? It's just to keep it like upright, that way it doesn't fall down, because it's the most it's the worst kind of type of robot to go and have is a two-legged robot, because it's really hard, and the gyroscope only does that. Now the cockpit, does that have a gyroscope for it, or is it fixed to the frame? Because if it's fixed to the frame, every time you run, every time you do stuff, it's gonna just rattle you around the whole cockpit. And I never actually got an answer about the cockpit having its own gyroscope. So it's kind of like a free floating type thing. And if it's free floating, then it gets jostled. If it gets jostled too much from having ballistic weapons like hit the head or something like that, what happens? What happens to this?
What happens if my fleet is standing still and I mask forward and I get to like 150 or 160 kph in half a second or whatever? Should my pilot be a pancake right now?
Exactly. I never actually got any, I never read like anything about how the cockpits are actually done up. Are they fixed to the frame itself? If it's fixed to the frame, you're looking at, you're just a jumbled mess. Like every time you walk in the robot, your head's gonna explode because you're just going bah, 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 from the legs, from the legs doing like what it is, because it's moving constantly. And does the cockpit have a gyroscope? What happens with that? But yeah, that's the type of realism that we're talking about. It's like, okay,
there's some hilarious things you could do if you added a lot more realistic mechanics. Some I was talking about the engines and not adding too much stuff. Well, could I take something like the Skokomish, a Zeus, an 80 tonner with a 400 standard engine, and put no armor on it whatsoever? Take no side torsos, no arms. It's just two legs and the center torso.
Yeah.
And there's a destroy buildings objective. I put on mask in the center torso or whatever. Well, I can't, not enough space. But just basically a super fast Zeus, because its total weight will not actually be that much. Like, it could get quite a good speed.
Yeah.
If you strip it down to the bone and put a giant engine in there, it should go pretty fast. Like, you get a king crab, a 400 engine in it, and no armor, it's just the engine basically on two little legs. That should be pretty fast.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Okay.
But we're getting into very silly territory where it looks like glitching.
Yeah, exactly. Okay.
Anyway, I think I divulged a bit too much from the Mechwarrior 5 AMA.
Yeah, we can move on. I was about to ask about motion sickness in the pilots.
Yeah,
we should move on to the next subject.
Well, we want to talk more about details. So, like the gyroscopes, of course, there's a spinning gyro in there, and you can only take so many hits, which is somewhat represented in the tabletop, taking 20 damage, or even in Battletech, where there's the stability bar, and the pilot actually has to take effort to reduce stability damage, because that does make sense when you have gyros.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. So, okay.
Mechwarrior 5.
Mechwarrior 5.
Mechwarrior Online.
Okay, so next I think we have the hotfix bug that actually happened. You guys know much about this? I know there's like two different ones. There's the target computer bug and something about a rack. I didn't read too much about the rack bug, but I know there's a target computer bug, which I'll show right here actually. And you could get your ER large laser to 2,212 meters. So just to let you guys know, this is interesting. Or that was like interesting.
Okay.
You can't do it anymore.
So first things first, at least what I can see in the text of the hotfix is it only says that we're fixing a bug that allows you to equip more than one targeted computer in a mech loadout. And as it appears, yeah, this Kodiak, they obviously use the bug to replicate target computers in every slot except for that one laser, which means because it's each one is giving you 6%, and it's probably multiplicative, you know, they multiply together or add together even, the range gets really, really big. This, I mean, obviously this Kodiak isn't exactly, it wasn't going to be good, this build that we got on the screen, hopefully.
Well, obviously, yeah.
But it does open up a lot in terms of builds as long as you use the bug, because before you could only take one targeted computer or command console. Like you couldn't put, you know, if you have one slot in each side torso free, you couldn't put a targeting computer Mark 1 in each of them. You can only use one targeting computer. Because obviously, why use a targeting computer Mark 2 when you could just use 2 Mark 1s next to each other? Yeah. And yeah, as you stack up all the effects, you could get to some really ridiculous percentages, particularly the targeting computer Mark 1. So yeah, they very quickly patched out that bug, that exploit. I don't think necessarily, you know, it gives you range, crit chance, etc., etc. It is a mild exploit. It's not going to break the game, but it is obviously breaking the build mechanics in some ways. And you now have a divergence between people who know the exploit and people who don't. Because,
I mean, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Because if you're ever using a mech where you need you're throwing in a targeted computer Mark 4, with the exploit, you would have just done 4 Mark 1s, which would have been better. You have an edge compared to exactly the same build with someone who's playing it properly.
I mean, if you bring out a Kodiak 3 with this type of build here, yeah, you're not going to have any edge whatsoever, dude. I mean, yeah, you might have, like, you're going to jump on some mountaintop somewhere and fire from, you know, doing damage at 4,000 meters, but you have one ER large laser and that's it. So you're not going to be too tough.
Well, they're doing that to, you know, show the extent that this thing could go. They're pushing a gimmick extremely far, where, you know, it's really hard to find anything at 2,000 meters and consistently keep scratching them to death. But even then, like, you could take an IS mech with, you know, regular small lasers, medium lasers, pack on a whole bunch of targeting computers, and extend the range hugely. It gets kind of crazy, and as well with these lasers, the crit chances go up and up and up and up and up as well. Yeah. So the community found this bug, and very quickly, you know, a day or two afterwards, I think PGI patched it up, at least as far as I'm aware, which is good.
Oh yeah, definitely. And there's something about a rack bug, but I didn't really pay too much attention to it though, because I wasn't using racks at the time, or just was busy like this week.
This is what I know about the rack bug is, I don't see it in the text of the hotfix, but it was something kind of Joshi brought up in one of his videos. He was using the weapon firing macro to very quickly tap the mouse button when using racks. The rack fires every like 0.1 seconds or something. Let me get I got my spreadsheets here somewhere. Yeah. It's every 0.14 seconds the rack fires. Normally when you're using it, what you do is obviously hold down the button so that the weapon stays charged and it keeps firing. But because even though it's not actually firing any shells, the bar is filling up because you're tapping the thing. So it had so by tapping the button, it did two effects. One was that the bar filled up a little less quickly, because you're letting go of the button, and therefore, it stops building the bar because you're waiting for the next shell to be ready to fire. That is something. Most humans can't really tap the button exactly 0.13 seconds, or whatever the right mark was in between shells. The other thing was, oddly enough, the way the mechanics work, it's sort of the barrel span down. And then because they're tapping the button again, it spins up and it starts firing again. Like, you could actually get a faster fire rate. So the bar is draining slower, relatively speaking, and the gun is also firing faster, which, means if you're using this weapon grouping exploit, you deal greater DPS with rack weapons, and your weapons fire possibly for longer, which is a double benefit. Like, that makes racks so much more stronger. And again, just like with a targeted computer bug, like even more so, gives a huge edge to those who know how to exploit these mechanics.
Yeah, exactly. Well, hopefully they'll go and fix that bug for the rack soon, I guess. But I haven't really seen much people. I think Sudo was the only one I saw that was kind of like, making something of it. Yeah,
It's obviously really hard to catch anyone using this bug because, racks sometimes just don't jam.
Yeah.
And it's hard to exactly tell that he's firing out, instead of the 7.25 shells per second, he's firing out 8 shells per second. Ooh. But, that extra shell does make a difference. That's an extra, 1.5 or 0.9 damage every second.
Yeah.
That can actually add up fairly quickly with racks. So, I do hope they patch that as soon as possible, because at least from what kind of Joshi demonstrated, it is very visibly apparent that this does mill DPS and the bar takes long to fill up.
A part of this is also that there's a similar, I guess, exploit with machine guns, since they function in a similar way. So if they fix the rack thing, it'll probably affect the machine gun thing too.
Probably so. I mean, but I'm more afraid of the racks than machine guns, though. A lot more afraid of that one. But yeah. So sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like with machine guns, it fires a bullet every 0.1 seconds. I assumed it was a hard cap that once it fired a bullet, it would only allow another bullet to be fired 0.1 seconds afterwards. But knowing PGI, it's very feasible that they could have allowed it that it fires every 0.1 seconds as long as you're holding the button down. And if you get a macro to mash the button, like press the button every nanosecond or microsecond or whatever the game can actually keep up with, it fires a bullet every time.
Yeah, I mean, just so everyone know, bugs happen in games. It does happen, and when stuff like this for PGI finds, it's like, okay, well, hey, we'll go fix it. Like when I found that bug of how all the buildings turned into Spaceballs, basically. Like when I found that bug and then I contacted them and said, hey, here's a bug, here's a video for it. They said, okay, thank you. And then 2 days later, they patched it and fixed it. So it's like, okay, cool. Basically, and they'll find bugs like over time, and it's good the community actually, A, doesn't really exploit it that much, and then B, basically they'll let them, let PGI know, say, hey, here's this bug, can you guys fix it? And then, they're on top of it, like unless it's during the weekend or something like that, then they'll do it on Monday or something. So it's good they're doing this kind of stuff.
Yeah, particularly with these types of bugs. Like some bugs, like imagine, for example, there's supposed to be a rule that targeting computers can't be equipped alongside command consoles.
Yeah.
Now, it just so happens that that restriction isn't implemented in the build, in the mech lab. Okay, that's a bit of an oversight by PGI, but it isn't actually harming anyone in the sense anyone can put in a target computer and then a command console, at least on the IS side, of course. And in the end, a command console is really bad anyway, and the benefits you're stacking up is not game-breaking. So even though it's a bug, so to speak, those ones are actually a fun piece of tech that allows you to add even more zoom level to your mech kind of thing.
Yeah.
But exploits like these are, of course, game-breaking, or at least they aren't in the spirit of, good bugs.
Spirit of good bugs. yeah, sure. Okay, man. I think Battletech, you want to take on the next one?
Oh, sure. All Systems Nominal Event. It started yesterday. And you have to do a bunch of stuff. The event so far is pretty easy to do. You almost just play games as long as you're doing the different criteria, which isn't too hard. You can do the event. I've been focusing on wrapping up the clan invasion event myself, and I already have, just looking at the thing now, I probably have this event actually half done already.
The clan invasion or
no, I was doing the clan invasion.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But for the all systems nominal, I have half of the requirements already completed.
Well, yeah, since you can stack both actually like events, and so that's a good thing. I was kind of worried they weren't going to have a event this weekend until Friday night. It's like, oh, okay, I guess we're going to do something. And all systems nominal, they they have stay classy, and all the stuff is really easy to do. I mean, 1,000 damage with ballistic missile and energy, easy stuff to do. I think the total you get 4 million. 1, 2, 3, yeah, actually 4 million, and then a couple of war cockpit amount of like items like warhorns, and it's really easy stuff to do. It's really kind of like you just play the game and you're gonna get this stuff done. The only thing I have a problem with is probably
solo kills.
Yeah, solo kills I got 1 out of 5 like right now, but I only played I think 7 games, and then play 5 matches in assault, which that's going to be killer. I'm not going to like that at all. But I am happy they did something for the inner sphere, because I'm playing my alt account, which is only inner sphere, and so like when the clan invasion one, when you're playing now, I'm like, okay, well that kind of sucks. I can't do that one, But overall, though, it's pretty easy to do. Just knock it out, and it goes on for 3 days. I think it's gonna be ending on Monday or Tuesday. 3 days, yeah.
I think that's Monday. Monday, what is that? 4 o'clock PST.
Yeah. So the day this podcast comes out, it'll be over.
I think. Well, we'll see. For me, I think it's actually till the end of Tuesday. But nonetheless, at least this is to reiterate what others have been saying. You do 1,000 damage with each of the different weapon types, easy peasy. Do damage in light mechs. Just play 5 matches in assaults, mediums, and heavies. It's not even the annoying get X number of wins, which is sometimes been an issue before.
Yeah.
Destroy components, kills, KMTDs, solos. That does push people to do silly, LRM stuff. But it's only 5 solo kills, so it's not so bad as previous events. And funnily enough, at least, if you want to do that learn cancer stuff, there's an AMS part to this, which is the most particular of the whole event, which meant a lot of mechs are running AMS right now, and shooting down all the LRM.
I mean, I played my Nova for 1 game and got 595 missiles, so it's like, okay, that's done. It was pretty easy to do.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no annoying UAV ones. There's no ones with a weapon system. You have to use 25 damage for a clan flamer.
Yeah.
So this is all good. It just play the game and get extra rewards. It's a pity it's only Seabills and Warhorns, but I think that's because the MC is still being offered by the Solaris event, so they don't want to give too much MC away right now.
Yeah, but PGI is one of the companies that I think I think they give out way too much like MC, but but they they're one of the cooler companies that actually say here's some MC for this event, here's this for this, and and they're one of the better companies out there that you really don't have to spend money, but do spend money if you guys can, because support PGI like if you guys can for the different games that are going, and since it's free to play. Like I said, you don't have to spend money, but if you can, cool, buy some mech packs and do that kind of stuff, because they, it supports a good company.
I find it interesting in a way. Like All Systems Nominal is one of the more acceptable events, at least in terms of playing. Everyone's just playing normal, other than the few people still doing, as Battletech said, the invasion challenges. A funny thing about everything being nominal is there's no sales for a change.
Yeah, true. Oh well, I'm okay with that.
Everything's normal. There's no sales. Wait, no, everything's not normal. I don't feel right. Is this the PGI I know?
Well, they'll probably do one next week. That's what they're probably going to do. Like, anyways, I have faith they'll go ahead and do a sale next week. I got a lot of faith in that.
Yeah, I don't mind them not doing it. It makes a change. This event. It's nice. It's very relaxed week this week.
Oh yeah, I'm very happy about that, because it was crazy this week for me, and it's gonna be crazy next week. So I'm good with just chilling, just chill and go play the game and go from there. I'm happy about that. So last up, you guys have any more comments about this or anything?
I'm good.
Okay.
Nope.
Okay, last up is actually the Battletech update. Which one was this? 1.4? Yeah, 1.4.0. which does an interesting thing. And for a lot of people from all across the world, it actually incorporates bug fixes and also localization for French, German, and Russian. So our friend from across the pond, which is Ian's, be able to go play the game in German. So it's awesome. I'm very happy about this. I'm very happy about, you know, they're looking, they started, or they want to do this like when they first began, and then they finally actually got around to it, which is one of the coolest things that Harebrained Schemes does, is listen to the community, and they know people from all around the world are playing this game. So it's a good thing they're doing this. I'm happy about this. Very happy. I didn't really do much as far as like anything else, like, you know, game breaking bugs or fix this and that, but they made it with like localization for the different countries out there.
I'm just looking through the list. So obviously a big thing Battletech has always promised for quite some time, localization. So for the French, German, and Russian-speaking audiences, finally, you know, the game can be played in those languages.
Yeah.
Even if it's just something like, you know, we have Ian on the podcast. If he wants to show this to an only German-speaking friend, before you know, they just have to read through all that weird English stuff and try and muddle it all out. Whereas now, you know, it's a lot more accessible, which is good, and it is living up to their promises. Otherwise, yeah, it's just nice having, you know, improved performance and UI fixes. One big one, at least, somewhat, was Flashpoint owners can now play multiplayer games against non-Flashpoint owners.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah, that's a bit of a nuisance, though. Most people play this.
Oh, that's big.
Yeah, for single player, but still, you know, that is a big issue. Other things, it was funny the way, at least on Steam, they phrased some things like player mechs are no longer submerged in deep water.
What?
What's the context on that? Well, I think I know what the context is. That sub matches, when my mechs drop onto the field, they're all sort of highlighted in pink.
Yeah, that happens to me sometimes, actually.
Yeah. What that is if a mech is behind an obstacle, an obstruction, you know, it shows its silhouette, and it just colors it in matted. And for some reason, like, the water level on the map was set super high or something, I don't know. And, you know, it said, oh, the mechs are all underwater, the player can't see them, so I'm going to paint them, you know, in a bright color so they can see. A bright pink. And so, yeah, I would have some matches where just for some reason I'm dropping with the pink mechs. That is my guess is what they're talking about. But otherwise, it's like, player mechs are no longer submerged in deep water. Well, that's good to know. When I was looking at the mech bit, I thought they were normal, but actually I was underwater the whole time.
Yeah. They also had the 4th installment of the Unlimited Black Honor for the book for people that are backers of the Kickstarter. $50 or more, so they have the 4th installment. So if you guys reading that, from Michael Stackpole. Oh yeah. I'm gonna be reading this sometime when I get a chance, and it's be pretty cool, man. I can't wait for this. But you know, overall though, you know, some good things that are happening with, you know, Harebrained Schemes. They always listen to the community, and they go from there. And it's just good. They care about us mech warriors on the battlefield. That's a good thing.
I'm still slowly grinding away at that career mode. So that at the end I can see I've got a score of X, and everyone can say, that's a number.
I'm still doing the, don't feel bad, I'm still doing the stock mode. I'm about 3 episodes or 3 missions to the end, I think. But I'm kind of like staggering them, you know, basically doing that kind of thing. But yeah, hopefully I'll get that done. I'll start doing some flashpoints like with that.
Well, I'm just saying though, this is for career mode, which is the, you know, what was it, like 1,200 days of campaigning, where they changed these settings where, you know, if you complete a mission, it doesn't move the day forward by 1. So you go, you know, it's every 12, 15 days now I go to a new planet, and, you know, there's a long list of missions to do, like 7 missions. So I have a few thousand missions ahead of me to do. Obviously, at some point in the score, I could possibly max out all my contracts and C-bill earnings, and then I just have to hop around and wait for time to play out to get my score. But, you know, it's such a long run.
Well, that's what it is, man. They want you to go ahead and do that and see how good you are. See how good you can do it in 1,200 days. That's fine. It's a good thing. It's a good thing.
It's all right. I mean, in the end, I think it's just a mode to play on, and they put a score mode in there to give it some sense of purpose, which is better than just playing in the sandbox.
Yeah, sandboxes are fine. That's what Mechwarrior 5 is going to be. So, and also, too, I'll let you know, Mechwarrior 5, they actually did the whole, like, inner sphere. I still want to know if they're going to do the proofread, because I'm more of a, a like, Canopus type person. So, hopefully, they're going to be doing that. Then go from there.
Yeah, have to wait and see. I imagine even with just mods, though, you could have a full map in the future.
Yeah, oh, yeah, definitely.
Go to the Oregon Reach and just start shooting stuff up.
So, Battletech?
Yeah, so this will be the conclusion of the First Circuit podcast, episode 71, where we were talking about the Mechwarrior 5 theme digital content, the AMA, and the hotfix that was on the 30th. And then we had the new event that started effectively Friday, probably will end at the time that this episode releases. Also, there was a Battletech update for some hot fixes and quality of life updates, and also the release of the final novella. So this is, again, the First Circuit podcast, episode 71, with your hosts, Ode Bob,
Lurg,
Biter.
Yep, hello.
And myself, BatDuck TW. Thank you for listening.